Hey Globetrot, the sun is overhead here in a time zone of 9.5 hours plus. So that means with the 12-hour time difference, we can draw a line to the opposite side of the globe. Direct line to the opposite side. This must be 12 hours earlier, of course. Time zone 9.5. Time zone -3. Do you see the problem here? 12:26, 23:56. That's 11.5 hours and not 12. And people on this longitude really see the sun overhead at 12:26. (12:26), 23:56. It should be here with 12 hours time difference on a globe, and the same for the moon, of course. "30 minutes of missing rotation on your globe." Maybe there is 30 minutes daylight saving on the dark side of the globe. That's not really in line. After exactly 12 hours and not 11.5 hours. And now the sun have to continue its path, of course. And that will take 11.5 hours. This happens each and every day with the sun and moon. So that means there is 180-hour globe rotation missing. And that is almost 8 days of missing globe rotation per year.
President Kitson, Mr. Vice President, Governor, Congressman Thomas, Senator Wiley and Congressman Miller, distinguished guests, Mr. Pugh.
Hi, Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. Pugh. And F.E.
It's 3 hours and 32 minutes until man begins the greatest adventure in his history. Apollo 11 astronauts, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins are to lift off from pad 39A out there on the voyage man always has dreamed about.
Hey, Mr. Kennedy, what is this?
A giant rocket, more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field,
Wow, Mr. Kennedy, that's a big rocket.
as tall as a 48-story structure,
Are you shitting me, Mr. Kennedy?
and as long as 2 lengths of this field.
This rocket must be made of some strong alloys, Mr. Kennedy.
Made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented.
Hey, Mr. Kennedy, do you know how many horsepower your rocket have?
Generating power equivalents to 10,000 automobiles with their accelerator on the floor.
That's a lot of cars, Mr. Kennedy. Hey, Mr. Kennedy, how fast is your rocket?
Speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour. Causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun.
The dish-shaped heat shield designed to withstand re-entry heat.
For nearly 1,000 seconds, as the command module smashes into the atmosphere, it will be exposed to heat which can rise to over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
They shield their eyes as they see a replica of their space capsule being subjected to 11,000 degrees of heat, such as it will encounter when it flashes back into the Earth's atmosphere.
3,000 degree heat.
2,500 degrees.
High as 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
4,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Still heat up to 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
2,400 degrees Fahrenheit.
The surface temperature of the ship reaches 10,000 degrees.
20,000 degrees for the Apollo vehicle.
Holy crap, Mr. Kennedy. Is it 2,500 degrees?
2,500 degrees.
Or 20,000 degrees?
Maybe as high as 20,000 degrees for the Apollo vehicle.
Causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun.
Consists of several layers of laminated fiberglass resin.
Well, how does 20,000 degrees compare with what we might find here?
This temperature is 3 to 4 times as high as the temperatures created by welding torches. 3 to 4 times as high as the temperatures created by welding torches.
Where is this rocket going, Mr. Kennedy?
To the moon and to the planets beyond. Succeeds in reaching Venus. We will have literally reached the stars.
I wonder how stars look like from space.
Air Force Doctor, Major David Simons, on his way to being the highest man in the history of the world. From the gondola windows, he can see the curve of the Earth dropping away, and he photographs himself in his strange spaceman outfit. As he leaves the atmosphere, the stars cease to twinkle, burning steadily, as the first space travelers will see them.
We will have literally reached the stars.
Amazing, Mr. Kennedy. This rocket must have strong engines.
5 F-1 rocket engines. A giant rocket, C-1 booster rocket.
The world's greatest spacefaring nation.
Spacefaring nation. New spacecraft.
Space shuttle.
The exploration of space.
There's no place like space.
In this race for space.
In space.
And so will space.
In space.
Now look into space.
Space.
See space?
Space Force.
Of the coming age of space.
Space. Spaceship.
Space.
Spacefaring.
For space science.
Space industry. Space.
Space.
Space Council.
Space can be explored in outer space.
Space.
In space.
The Space Force.
Spacecraft.
Space Council. Space Force.
Spacecraft Center.
The Space Force.
Spacecraft.
Space Force.
Space science.
Space Council.
Space effort itself. Space science and space.
Space policy.
For new space efforts. Space budget. Space budget. Space expenditures. Space expenditures.
Space Force. Space Force. Space Force.
Well, space is there.